Here we are in the QBO gym, which is the place where we have numerous hands-on exercises that simulate real-life scenarios that you may encounter as a bookkeeper. Each month covers a variety of new topics and scenarios, and to make it a little bit easier for you, we break it down into 4 different sections. So if you are looking to work on your bookkeeping skills, this is the place for you. And if you'd like to do a whole month's worth of these all on your own, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. But let's get into today's exercise, which is coming from our June Year 1 Strength Training section, where we really focus on perpetual inventory. At the top here is an animated video to give you a synopsis of what you, the bookkeeper, will be doing for your client, Craig, this month. Below that is an interactive pre-assessment quiz that relates to the video up above. Below that are all of the exercises in this section. And at the bottom here is an optional area where after you have gone through all of the exercises and completed them in this section, you will unlock some sample marketing posts that you can use on your LinkedIn to share with everyone what you have learned so far. So let's get into today's exercise where we are going to practice purchasing inventory. Go ahead and click on that link to have the exercise pulled up for you. I have it here on the right side of my screen, so let's read through our scenario. Now that Craig's products and services list has been uploaded, you're ready to record his inventory purchases for the month. He purchased 2 different items from Mahoney on credit, and he received a bill from them that is due in 30 days. Craig also wrote a check to Hicks Hardware. That check covered both some retail inventory and some supplies for the landscaping side of his business. Now, you will need to be in the same session of the sample company that you did the previous exercise in. If you have not completed that exercise yet, go ahead and click on the link on the top right corner of your screen. That'll take you to that one. Go ahead and complete it and then come back to this one. I have the sample company pulled up here on the left side of my screen. This is the last page that I left off of from the previous exercise. Now, as part of this exercise too, you need to download the bill for Mahoney. So you need to click on the button underneath the animated video in this section to download it, as you'll need it for this exercise. So if I go back to the gym here and I scroll back up towards the top, you will see the animated video. And then there is this button that says Mahoney Bill. Go ahead and click on it. And when you do and you open it up, you will see that this is what the bill will look like. We're going to need it for this exercise, so be sure to have it up. All right, so let's go ahead and get started with the exercise. Bill is used when a vendor tells you that you need to remit payment for something. Later on, when Craig pays this bill, you will record a payment against it instead of recording a new expense. Now, because Mahoney Muggs is just as excited for Craig to buy inventory from them as he is, they have offered him terms of net 30, which means that he has 30 days to pay for the items that they are sending him now. So to create that bill transaction, we want to click on the plus new button and then select bill. So if I go back to the sample company, the plus new button is on the top left corner. Go ahead and click on that. And then under vendors, go ahead and select bill. Now, once it comes up for us, we're going to fill it out. In the vendor field, we want to select Mahoney Muggs. So click that down arrow. You can either scroll to find their name or you can go ahead and type their name in there. Once you find it, go ahead and select their name. In the terms field, we want to select net 30 because that is what they agreed upon. So click the down arrow in the terms field. Go ahead and select net 30. Now note that QBO automatically uses today's date for the bill, and in a real-life scenario, you would want to enter the date of the bill from Mahoney. QBO will calculate and fill in the due date based on the terms you previously selected. So because the sample company is constantly changing their dates and it can affect some of the exercises that we do, we're going to leave the bill date as of today, and then this due date is automatically populated based on the terms that we have set here. So 30 days from today's date would be what is in the due date. And your dates may be different depending on when you're doing this exercise, but that is what all of those fields mean. So in the bill number field, we want to enter the invoice number that's found on the bill. So if we go back to the bill itself, here is that invoice number right there. It is showing as 314159. So let's go back into this bill number field and type that in, 314159. Now, bill number is not always a field that you'll see on vendor bills. Remember, from the vendor's perspective, they've sent an invoice. When your client receives that invoice, however, you record it in their books as a bill. On documents like this, the point isn't to find a perfectly labeled quote unquote bill number to enter in the bill number field. You'll need to use whatever number the vendor has set up to identify this particular document in case you need to reference it down with them sometime down the road. Sometimes that's labeled as an invoice number. You may also see control number or document number or something else. The purpose of the bill number field is more important than its actual label. So let's go ahead and start filling out based on what we see here in this bill. So we're going to click on the arrow to expand the item details grid. And that is because these are inventory items. So inventory items are in this item details grid recorded here, not the category details grid. So on the first line in the items grid, we're going to, in the product service field, select bird, bath, rubber duck, since that is the first one that we have here on our invoice. So go ahead and click into that. You can go ahead and type, you can scroll, or you can start typing in bird to find bird, bath, rubber duck. Once you find it, go ahead and select it. Now, if we go back here, the quantity is 250. So let's go ahead and click into that quantity field and type 250. Now, because the purchase price was part of the products and services list that you uploaded in the previous exercise, Craig's rate or cost for these ducks and the total cost on this line are automatically populated. So if we go back here, we see that the unit price is $2 per rubber duck, and we see that that is automatically filled in here for us. When we hit the tab key over, it already did because I clicked out of it, but if you hit the tab key, it'll automatically make the calculation, or you just click out of it and QBO will make that calculation for you. So let's go ahead and enter now the lawnmower plushie, which was 12 of them that he had purchased. So on that second line in the product service field, let's go ahead and select lawnmower plushie. I'm going to once again just start typing in lawnmower so that I can easily find it. You can of course always scroll too. Once you find it, go ahead and select it. And once again, we said that quantity was 12. So let's fill that in the quantity field. Hit 12 or type 12, and if you hit the tab key over, you will see that QBO is making that calculation automatically for us. So everything that is here is now recorded on this bill transaction. So we're going to click on the down arrow and then select Save and Close. So click that down arrow and then select Save and Close. And that bill has now been saved. Craig used a check to purchase both landscaping supplies and retail inventory from Hicks Hardware. Because his job supplies and his retail inventory are tracked differently in the books, you'll need to record them differently than when you create the check entry. Now, the reason that each of these items is entered differently is because of the way each is tracked and used in Craig's business. He knows that he plans to use all of the landscaping supplies he bought from Hicks as he completes upcoming jobs for his customers. Because he'll be selling keychains retail, though, he's tracking inventory quantities using the products and services list. So he always knows what's available for sale and when he needs to buy more. Now, in a real-life scenario, Craig might provide you with the receipt and or check image for his purchase. There is no download for this section of the exercise, so here we'll just walk you through the details. So to click or create that check transaction, we're going to click on the plus new button and then select check. The plus new button on the top left corner, click on that, and then under vendors, go ahead and select check. When it comes up, we're going to fill it out. In the PE field, we want to select Hicks Hardware. So click that down arrow and you can either scroll or type in their name. Once you find it, go ahead and select it. Now in the bank account field, the checking account should already be selected for you, but you want to double check that it is. So it is for me. I'm good to go here. We can move on to the next step. In a real life scenario, you would enter the date that the check was written, but for the purposes of this exercise, we're just going to leave this as is. It just defaults to today. Also, in a real life scenario, you would want to enter the number of the check that was written, but for the purposes of this exercise, we're just going to leave that as 71, but you want to make sure that this is accurately showing what the number of the check number that you are writing is reflected here in this field. Now for the landscaping purchases, we're going to use the category details grid. This is again because Craig did not purchase specific product and service items. These are not inventory items. That's basically what we mean. So that is why we are putting it in this grid. So on the first line in that grid, on the category field, we're going to select plants and soils. Now, as a note here, there are two accounts with the exact same name. One is an account or expense account field or expense account. There we go. And another one is an income account. We want the expense one. So it should be the one that's a sub account of job expenses. So if you click into that down arrow, you can scroll a little bit. You will see job expenses, job materials, plants, and soil. This is the one that we want. If you started typing in plants, it would be the first one on that list because that list goes by alphabetical order for the entire name. So it would start with job expenses versus the income account, which starts with landscaping services. So just as a note there, how that works here in the sample company. In a real life scenario, highly recommend having your account names being totally different so that you don't accidentally select the incorrect account. So once you find the one that we want, which is under the job expenses, job materials, plants, and soil, go ahead and select it. In the amount field, we're going to type 457. So click into that amount field, type 457. And as a note here, it may be a good idea to add the description of what this actually is that was being purchased. We don't have an actual receipt here for this exercise, so we're not adding a description. But just as a note here in a real life scenario, you may want to add a description here just so it's clear what this is for. Now, for the retail purchases, you will use the item details grid. This is because Craig is tracking how many of each thing he has on hand. He will track them when he purchases them and track them when he sells them. Now, note that QBO has pre-filled the item details grid. You can see this all here, and that is because it is copied from the last Hicks hardware purchase. You can control whether you want QBO to pre-fill from previous transactions in the accountant settings. But for the purposes of this exercise, we're going to delete all of them before moving on. So you can have this as a setting on in the accountant settings. You would just click on the gear icon, go to accountant settings and fix it there if you want it turned off, or you can leave it on. But the nice thing is having it on, if it's something that is constantly purchased over and over again from the same vendor, this may help save you some time and just having it here. But if it's not, if you want it turned off, you can always do it. You can always overwrite it as well. But we're going to delete all of them. So we're going to click on the trash can icon next to each item. So just click on that. It's on the right side of each line. Just click on the trash cans until you get nothing left here in this grid. Let's go ahead and fill it out. In the first line of that product service field, we're going to select compressed grass clipping keychain. So click into that box. I'm going to go ahead and start typing in compressed so that it easily pops up for me. Once you find it, go ahead and select it. In the quantity field, we're going to type 300, and you'll note that the rate is automatically populated here, and that is from that imported products and services list that we did in the previous exercise. And so that is why that is there. And then when I type in 300 and I hit the tab key over, QBO automatically calculates what that amount should be. So we are all good here. We have now finished this check transaction. All we need to do is click on the green Save and Close button on the bottom right corner of the screen. And that transaction has been saved, and that's it. That is how you would purchase inventory. Now, if you like this exercise and you'd like to do more like it, be sure to join our free 5-day bookkeeping challenge. All you need to do is click on the link in the description. If you'd like to continue on, be sure to leave this session of the sample company open, as you will need it for the next exercise in the strength training section, where we practice recording sales and returns. And I will see you in the next video.